All right, great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's so many differences, right? But it's really important to figure out what are the core opportunities for that company. What are the products that they're developing, and what's the market window that you have to capitalize with your particular project or company. And that kind of dictates the different types of funding that you want to go, whether it's a self-funded, bootstrapped kind of thing like we've done at Linode over the last 17 years, or you're looking to accelerate product adoption, being able to ramp up sales and marketing, product development, things like that faster, and you need the additional funding to get there. When you look at kind of the two different ways, of course, it's self-funding, using your own capital, using friends and family, developing the business on your own, which can tend to be slower. And that's one of the reasons why people are drawn towards venture capital. They don't either have the money to self-seed their company, or the opportunity that they see is narrow in terms of the time frame, and they want to be able to move quicker, or the capital that they need to be able to even get going or be able to bring a minimally viable product to market requires significant investment. So they need to go out and find external investors. And there's a variety of ranges of investors. You can get seed investors that'll help you in early stage. There are, of course, private equity, there's venture capital. There's a variety of different ways to go. But every situation is unique. And you really need to be able to kind of look at what is my opportunity, what is the business I'm trying to do, and what's the window I have to be able to capitalize on that. Yeah, I mean, I've done six different companies that I've been senior executive or founder or co-founder of that have been venture capital backed, and then I've of course launched my own company with off credit cards and mortgaging my house and things like that. So I've kind of looked at or been involved in businesses that have done really all sides, and when you think about actually, I just kind of lost our question. Yeah, there's all kinds of potential strings attached, and one of the things that I learned on my first company was, in working with our attorney, is that a lot of our discussions were around what would happen if 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, this or this happened. And a lot of the things that venture capitalists and other investors put into their agreements is different preference rights in terms of the money that comes out, that they get paid first. There's other sort of accelerators that they can get if you don't hit certain milestones. There's all kinds of change in control language that can happen. So if you talk to any serial entrepreneur, they'll tell you a whole bunch of pros and cons and war stories of where they either lost control of their business, or they were forced out, or they weren't able to influence key decisions the way that they wanted to anymore because the board had more control and was influencing those decisions. So there's all kinds of little pitfalls in terms of whether you're getting into, let's say, even just a partnership with somebody, or definitely when you're getting into a relationship with a venture capital partner or investor, is you're giving control of your business to a certain extent, and there's a whole bunch of hidden legal language that is very difficult to decipher that you need to pay attention to, because right now you'll be like, hey, this isn't going to apply to me at all. Like, I don't see how this could possibly get there. And then next thing you know, you're running a business that could be a 10, 20, $100 million business, and things change. And some of those covenants or some of those pieces can come back to bite you. So you really need to be careful. It's a long-term agreement. You're getting in bed with a partner that has different motivations, obviously, than you do. Maybe your motivation is more social purpose. Maybe it's to make money. Maybe it's to build a long-term lifestyle business. But these companies are driven by return on their investment. People give them money to get a return back. And often those are in short windows of time based on the fund duration, which is typically a 10-year duration. So they will often be quite motivated to push you to do things quicker or to overextend yourself faster because they want to get a return on their investment. And they're also driven by kind of a different mathematics. For you, it's kind of do or die. If I hopefully I can grow this company. If I don't, it's going to be terrible. For them, they're hoping to get like a 1 in 10. So they're hoping one out of each of their 10 investments succeeds, and that'll pay for the other investments that didn't make it. So you obviously don't want to be the other, one of those other 9. But that's the calculus that they're looking at the world. So they're not as invested as you are in your business. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's possible. It's possible. It's why when you talk to a lot of other entrepreneurs or coaches like myself, they'll talk to you about trying to find the right fit, trying to find the right investor that shares sort of your vision, and also has some history of working with companies and being more focused on how to help the companies be successful. Maybe they offer outside consulting, or they provide networking, or they have more of a longer term view of their investments. So not every investor is the same. I've worked with a wide variety, some of which are just money, and some of which are really partners, even operational partners with you, and really rolling up their sleeves and getting in there with you to help grow your business. So there's a wide range, and you need to find the right fit for you. And you have to find people that are aligned with the way that you think about your opportunity and your customers and the market that you're trying to enter. Because if you're already misaligned in the very beginning, then it's going to be really difficult for you to gain consensus and be able to work together to be able to serve your customers. And then you get into this really nasty scenario where they want a certain return or performance or for you to hit certain milestones, and you're saying that's not really what my customers need. My customers need this, or we need to fix these things first before we launch this next product, and we just need to do right by our customer, and that's a challenge. It's one of the things that really drove me to getting partnering with companies like Linode that are not influenced by those things. Often it can be fine, you can find the right partners and it works great. Other times it's not so good, and they can compromise your values in doing what's right for the customer. And that's I've seen that happen more often than not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's only amplified, right? Because here you're trying to do something where you want to gain the benefits of open source. You want to be able to, crowdsource my project. I want to be able to get contributors. I want to be able to give back to the community. I want to be able to leverage a lot of these tools. I want to be, part of the open source movement. And of course, investors are always going to go for, how do I get more margin? How do I get more revenue? How do I position your business in a way that's going to increase the multiple, meaning how many times revenue or how many times EBITDA they can sell your company for? And so they will want to twist that math around in ways that advantage them and hopefully advantage you as well, in a way for exiting the business or maybe even IPOing the business. So their motivations are going to be very different than potentially yours, and it's going to be it's a challenge. That's why companies like Stadium Apps, they've chosen to stick with Bootstrap, stick with kind of the purity of that, and being able to be in control and be able to make those decisions on their own without having to be influenced by an investor or combinations of investors who may have majority control over your business and saying, hey, you know what, this looks like a great opportunity to close source this part of the product, charge customers for that, and increase our profitability, increase our revenue. But again, they're always looking at it from their point of view, and they may have other time constraints that you don't see, whether it's the duration of that fund that money came from, or other investments maybe that didn't work out, so they're hoping that yours works out more. So it can really twist things around, and I think you need to be extra careful of that. And that's why I'm so excited when you see companies that have been able to bootstrap their way, grow their business without that outside influence. They're in such a better position in terms of control of their business and being able to leverage and contribute to the open source community in ways that I think the proprietary or capital-backed companies just can't. So it's a touchy thing. I mean, I coach entrepreneurs all the time and executives all the time around this issue, and it's a hard one because sometimes they don't have those options. They need to capitalize on a market opportunity quickly. They need to get cash to be able to invest in sales and marketing or product development. and so they have to kind of make the deal with the devil, so to speak, to get there. You just have to go in eyes wide open. Make sure you talk to other people that have been there, done that, and make a really smart, calculated decision on who you're going to get in bed with. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the things that we could touch on is just the quick difference between kind of seed investors and friends and family, and then taking the next step to venture capital, because it's obviously. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. I get it. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's. I mean, we touched on, of course, the fact that these, they're driven by, on their 1 in 10 kind of focus. They're focused on the limits of the fund that it came from. They're going to have, of course, different motivations, based on where their funds are and what other investments they have. They're most likely going to be, influencing you to try and do things that are, around margin or revenue production, which may not be the best interest of your customer. You are going to have to worry about, I mean, of course, you have to worry about the right fit. Is the most important thing, of course, with any sort of partnership, because this is a long-term thing. You're not going to be able to just walk away from this or reset. You're basically giving away 9 times out of 10 majority control of your business. I think those are the big ones. I mean, we could always, but you don't want it to be longer. I could always, we could always talk about, on actual examples, of where it works out well and where it doesn't work out well. Um, yeah, no, I think it's more coaching, right? I think that's what we want to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and for years I've been, of course, working with and growing early stage and fast growth companies, and working with both bootstrapped and venture backed and private equity backed companies. And I mean, it's all about knowing. It's not. I often talk about it's not always knowing what to do. It's knowing what to do when and how much. And I think that's the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs always have, is they can read a case study, they can look at an example, they can read an article, and they can try and apply what that company did or what that CEO or entrepreneur did to their business. But it doesn't always fit because they're at a different stage, they're at a different kind of maturity level of their business. And that's one of the things that I think would be fun for us to explore more is trying to understand what is the right combination of things to work on right now based on your situation, because everyone's situation is unique, and that's one of the biggest challenges of growing a business. Thank you very much, Swap. It's great being on.